All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about what a plugin is and what it does, let's look at how we're going to add a plugin to WordPress. And there's actually two different ways. So let's get started using the first way, the plugin repository. So here I am at the WordPress plugins page. This is showing me all the installed plugins. Doesn't matter if it's active or inactive. And I want to add a new one, however. So I'm going to first click Add New. There's another way that I can do this, just by the way, and that is, if you notice off my left-hand side, under plugins, there's an Add New menu item there. Both of them will work, and actually both of them will take you to this page. So this is a brand new page, and it takes you actually out to the WordPress plugin directory. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that there's a whole place where you can go and get free plugins for WordPress to install into your machine. And if you come here, you'll notice, for example, there's a series of featured plugins. And this is going to give you about 6 to 7 different plugins. Different ones do different things. Health check and troubleshooting, Jetpack, which already comes with it. These are just some ones that WordPress is recommending to you. These all go out to wordpress.org if you're curious. I have another submenu option for popular. And these are some very popular ones out there based upon how many people are downloading and using these plugins across all of WordPress. Remember, WordPress is driving somewhere around 39%, if I remember correctly, of all the websites out there. So it's a huge amount of information. And every time someone goes and downloads a plugin, this information is actually being updated, and they kind of keep track of running totals, what's been downloaded recently. This is how you get your popular ones. Similar to the featured, you have a recommended. These are just some different things you can kind of take a look at, as well as a favorite. You can simply type in your name. Where this becomes really helpful is, let's say you manage a lot of different WordPress websites. So you can say, hey, these are my favorite plugins. And then when you go set up a new website, you log in with your WordPress.org username. It comes up, shows you all of your favorite WordPress plugins. You then can just simply go in and install them. So it makes it a little bit faster and easier if you're configuring a 3rd, 4th, 10th site. It becomes really helpful for you. Now, the other options you can do is actually on the right-hand side, and that is you can do a search for plugins. So let's say I care about SEO, search engine optimization. Well, I can simply put that in, say I want to search for keywords. In the search results, you get these individual cards. Each card is going to give you the name of the plugin. It's going to give you a description for it, what the average rating is, and based upon how many people have rated it. So you'll notice, for example, with Yoast SEO, there are over 27,000 people have rated this, and it's showing as basically 5 stars. So that's really good. You can probably assume that that's a really good plugin for you to use. And not only do I see that there is 27,000 people have rated it, 5 million people have actively gone in and installed it on their system. So this is a really active plugin that lots of people are using. On the bottom right-hand side of the card, I see 2 other pieces of information that I always look for. So yes, I always want to know my description. Is this going to work for me? But 2 other things I'm looking for. Number 1 is, when was it last updated? So there's always needs to update your plugins for some reason. It could be add new features. It could be because a security problem was found and they want to fix it. It could be to make it compatible with a new version of WordPress. So there's always new ways and reasons for plugin authors to be updating their plugins. And if you notice, I can look here in these top 4 that I see right now. I have updated 4 weeks ago, 2 days ago, 7 hours ago, and a week ago. So we get some pretty good information about when something was updated. And that's really helpful for me as someone who's administering a WordPress website. I don't want to see something that was last updated 6 months ago or 3 years ago, because That's not a real good warm feeling saying that it's probably going to be working, okay? I want something that's being maintained. 4 weeks ago is definitely still being maintained. You don't have to worry about that. Even 4 months ago is probably still being maintained. But in the same token, I have also seen things which have been a couple years old, and that's not good. The other one that I'm looking for, and I'm always looking for, is where you see a little check mark. It says compatible with your version of WordPress. That's a real important thing. I always want to see that. And that means that the plugin author has gone and tested their plugin with the current version or whatever version of WordPress you have. They provide this information. There's a way, we don't have to know about that, but there's a way that plugin authors do this. And we are relying upon them to be honest with us. And based upon that kind of ranking feature that we just saw, a lot of times they have a strong incentive to. If people come out and say, oh yes, it's, guaranteed to work with your new version, and then people come out and say, wait a second, no, it's not working for us, their scores are going to take a hit. And then it's going to take a lot of work for them to get those back. And so they have kind of a self-incentive, if you would, to make sure that information is accurate. So those are a couple quick things. And if I'm interested in this, then I'm going to click on the More Details link. This is where I really kind of get a chance to dig into this. Okay, so here I see what version of PHP is required, what version of WordPress does it work up to. Sometimes you'll see here, for example, requires WordPress version 5.5 or higher. So it's obviously taking care of some new features that came out in WordPress. If you had an older version of WordPress, if you're on 5.1 or even like 3.2 for some reason, it's not going to work for you. So this gives you some information. Here I also have a really nice simple process. I see a full description I can kind of look at and see what's going on there. I can look at how do I install this, an FAQ section, change logs, screenshots, and once again, reviews. So if I want to look at more than just like, oh, it looks like they got 5 stars, out of 27,000 reviews, I can come here and take a look. And what's nice is it tells you what date it was released. So a lot of times if there's a new update, people say, oh, wait a second, it doesn't work with this latest version of WordPress. Hold off on doing the install, or don't do the upgrade, or different things like that. If I want to install it, then down here I have an Install Now button. Okay, so that works really, really well. It's very simple. I can get all my information, then I can do my install. If it's something that I know, and this goes back to kind of like your favorites where you know what you like and you have them installed, there's always an Install Now button that's just right there, and I can go in, I can click on that, and I get it installed on my machine. And all these come from this repository that WordPress maintains. So it keeps all this information, and I can do a search for a lot of different things. So for example, if I want to have something with forums, here's a whole bunch of forum items. You might say, well, how many plugins are there that deal with forums? Well, just looking at based upon the keywords and different things like that, notice here that there's over 5,300 items. So this list will scroll, and I can scroll down and whatnot. This one WordPress page, I can scroll through and see a lot of different options here. If I get down to the bottom, I see this menu option again, and I can skip to the next page, and I can go through this. Now, sometimes these are add-ons for plugins, so it's like a plugin for a plugin. Sometimes these are standalone plugins. There's a lot of different ways of handling this, so it's a really good way to just kind of take a look at this and get a good idea of what's actually working here, how's it working, and what can we use with it. So this is a way to do these installs. All these plugins are free. Now, like I said, some of them are going to be light versions or a free version, and then there's a premium version that gives you added features. So I'm going to show you how to install a file that's been uploaded to the server in just a minute, and that's where a lot of times we have our paid plugins. We have to manually update them because they're not allowed to be put in here. There's no way to handle that transactional process. So you go to another person's website, you pay for it, and so we'll show you that statement in just a few minutes. So that's how you do the free plugins that come with WordPress. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of options out there. Feel free to peruse them and think about, what do I really need to have done? And then you can find it most likely in an existing plugin, many of times for free.